back to another video. So in this video we are going to configure the ISP first. So I will go ahead and start the ISP devices. And let me open that part. 3. Okay, so let me go back to my remote manager one. That should be 7.2. P32773. So just give it a time. Yep. All right, coming to the ISP now, these between these two, what I will do is that I will text and I will say that 10.100.100.0/24. So between these two interfaces, I will go with this IP address. And with the management, according to my topology, I do have a management 150.1.7.0. That's fine. But going to the ISP, I do have a different network that will be 192.168.1.0/24. So I will be taking a DHCP from my physical network on this E/1, and the ISP should be we are configuring. So I will configure the OSPF between these two routers, and I will send a default gateway to this router so that it will be able to communicate with the internet. So let's go ahead and configure the ISP PE router first. So because 0/0 is going to ISP, 1 is going to controllers. So controllers, I will go with the 20.1.1.0 network, okay, for the controllers. And for the business internet and the MPLS, I do have 220 and 172 respectively, okay. So these things is not in the topology, but I'm configuring it, and this is not mentioned in the topology too. So I am just putting over here. So let's go to the ISP PE router first, and we will configure the everything first. So that will be ISP PE. Config the host name will be ISP PE. Interface is 0/0. IP address will be 10.100.100.2. 0 and no shut exit. Interface E0/1. IP address will be 20.1.1.254 and no shut. So why I am taking 254 is that all the routers will be coming and meeting at the ISP PE router. So everyone will be having a default gateway of .254. So E/1, 2, and 3 will have a .254. Interface E0/2, IP address will be 220.100.1.254. No shut interface E0/3, IP address will be 172.168.100.254. And router OSPF1 network will be all interfaces I want to advertise to the ISP router so that we do have a default gateway. Now let's go to the ISP router now. We do have only two interfaces, E0 and E1. So first I will configure the E0. Config the hostname will be ISP main router E0/0. IP address will be 100.100.100.1 or should be only 10. No shut. Interface E0/1. IP address will be DHCP and no shut exit. We have configured that interface as the next router OSPF1 network will be 000 and area will be 0. I got the DHCP address assigned That's okay. Now in the OSPF, I have to send the default information. I think what is the command? Yeah, it's default information. Default information originate always and exit. So I'm sending a default route to the ISP PE router. Okay, so let's go back to the ISP PE. My neighborship is up. That's okay. If I say to show IP route, I should have a default gate. Now, if I go to ISP main router, if I say do ping 8.8.8, I'm able to ping. That's not a problem. But if I go to ISP PE router, if I say do ping 8.8.8, I'm not able to ping because my internet does not have any idea about this one. So I need to do the natting on the ISP router in order to provide the internet access. So let's do that one now. On the ISP router, I have to configure that one. I have to say interface E0/1 IP NAT outside exit, interface E0/0 IP NAT inside exit, and save it first. So E0/1 is the outside interface, so we want it to NAT it outside, and E0/0 is the inside interface, so we want to NAT it. So while going out, take this interface, while coming in, then translate to this particular interface IP address. Now, before we configure the NAT, we have to do certain things. That is, we have to define the access list. We just say one permit any. We don't need to specify, because if you start specifying the individual subnet, it will be a long list. So it's better to provide any. It's just a lab. Next, we have to define our public IP address. I will say IP NAT pool. I will give a name, my pool, and I will define the public IP which we got the DHCP address, which was 192.168.75. So now I have only one public IP address, so that's why I'm pasting twice. If I have multiple, then I will say a range 75 to 80. Okay, so I have only one. So I will say network marks 255 to 55.0, or if I can go back here and if I say that 75 to 85, or maybe 80, because I do have IPs available, but since we got to have only one interface and one IP, so that's why I'm saying 75. Next, we need to write a NAT statement to enable it. So I will say IP NAT inside. Source list will be access list number 1, and pool will be my pool. So basically we are saying that I want to do the NAT inside network whenever trying to going outside. So match the subnets on the access list 1 and the pool, that is the public IP address, take it from there and save it. So this time if I go from here, if I say do ping 8.8.8, same thing, now I am able to ping. Alright, so coming back to the topology, now my ISP core is ready now. So now I can start turning on the switches, respective switches, and we will start configuring our controllers in the next video. So I hope this was informative for you, and thank you.